Hi everyone, and welcome back to my Consultant Explorer channel. I'm Charlie and I'm here to help you explore the early career years of management consulting, help you to be successful at it and show you how to make the most of the opportunities that it opens up for you. I spent 8.5 years at Accenture building the most incredible launchpad for my own career, and now that I'm running my own businesses, I get to choose what to work on whenever and wherever I want to in the world, and that is the kind of freedom I can help you find in your journey, which starts just as mine did in management consulting. Have you ever noticed how successful people seem to have those kinds of career journeys that go in a unified direction and just make sense? And now they're at where they're at, being all successful. It's as if they knew that when they were born, they were going to be a prime minister or a high court judge one day. By contrast, most of us feel like our career experience is a little all over the place and not neatly unified into a single direction. We often hear people saying things like, I didn't choose what I do, I just sort of landed in it. And there's a strong perception that chance plays a major part in each of our careers. But in reality, everyone feels like this, even the prime ministers and the high court judges. Perfectly curated career journeys with predictable steps and timings is more a thing of the past. Unified career experience, where everything lines up into one strong direction, is more of a concept than an actuality. The actuality is, everyone's careers are an aggregation of lots of different random experiences, and your personal value is derived from the uniqueness of your bundle of personal experiences. So by experiencing as much different stuff as you can, you become all the more valuable. And in fact, some of the people that have the most fulfilling careers are the ones who try new stuff all the time, because they're able to find out what they do and don't like, and what they are and aren't good at. So the more random your career feels, the better. It doesn't necessarily have to be unified in this sense. But unification is important, and here's how. All of your random experience can come together into a unified concept. The unified directional concept of your bundled career experience, where all of the things you've done come together into a story with meaning, with progress, and with significance. That is the thing that's important. And being able to see your experience in this way, in the form of a story, is what makes your career sound so much more impressive and successful. It's that skill that helps prime ministers and high court judges see their randomized experiences in such a way that they were born to do what they do today. And that skill of telling the story of your career is really, really hard. It's something that I was coached on during my time in consulting, both in representing my own career and also the careers of my people in performance review sessions. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what I learned in the hope that it will help you tell your story so that you can benefit from it much earlier than I did. We will walk through an example of how someone's experience can be told in story versus non-story formats to illustrate the power of the story. Then we'll cover a few different reasons why telling your story is so important, and in particular when. And we'll finish with a perspective on how you can craft a story out of randomized consulting experiences. So firstly, let's take an example. Let's imagine that you are sitting in a performance review session evaluating candidates. Your colleague Peter is talking about the career experience of one of his people. Let's call her Laura. You've not worked with Laura before, so you are wholly reliant on what Peter says today to evaluate her performance. Now, what I learned is that there are basically 3 levels of information about someone's career experience. The first level is facts, so what that person did, or what output or outcome they achieved. The next level up is the chronology of these facts and how they relate together. So that person's journey from what they were doing before to what they're doing now to what they're going to do in the future. And the top level is the why of that journey. So what it's all leading towards and why that's important to the individual, to others, and to society. So if Peter were to take a level 1 approach, it might go something like this. Laura has been the lead UXer on our project team for the last 9 months, and she's had 2 direct reports, 1 intern and 1 graduate analyst. She, along with the support of her 2 direct reports, has designed 15 computer screens that are also responsible for mobile devices. They've achieved an average 4.5-star rating from customer testing on both types of devices. I was particularly impressed by the framework that Laura created because it enabled her and her team to run the design process and run customer testing. It was a large part of why they were able to achieve such high quality and quantity of output. So what do we think of that? It sounds like Laura's been busy and successful, and she's achieved good output because she's got good customer reviews, and we know that she can manage juniors effectively. So this is all good evidence. But is she ready for more responsibility? Can we imagine her next role? Is she ready for promotion? Let's try a level 2 approach instead, taking into account the chronology of these facts and the end-to-end journey. This time, Peter might say something like, Laura joined our project team 9 months ago with some constructive feedback that she needed to work on forming stronger client relationships. Not only did she respond really positively to this feedback, developing really strong client relationships, she's also now the reason we're back in our clients' good books, because the client at that point wasn't happy with us for all the delays on the project. With only 3 people, herself included, she had to design more screens than are typically expected of a team that size within the time available. In order to achieve this, despite never having managed anyone before, she conceived of a reusable design and test framework that would empower her juniors to work more independently, while she also rolled up her sleeves to work alongside them and get the required output done. They not only designed 15 responsive screens, they also achieved a 4.5-star customer rating, which is higher than any project that Laura or I have worked on before. I'm confident that Laura will continue to grow, both in response to constructive feedback as she's shown, and also with the initiative that she's demonstrated in creating that framework, which she can take onwards with her to empower more teams. Okay, so this time we get a real sense of Laura's development path. She's gone from not having managed anyone to managing 2 juniors effectively. She has developed strong client relationships in a commendable response to constructive feedback. She has tackled the challenge of time and output with real initiative. And she's even got a reusable framework that she can take onwards with her and develop further. We can definitely trust her with more responsibility next time, and she might even be ready for a promotion. But where is this ultimately all leading her? And is she on the right path for her? Or at some point is she going to lose interest or burn out? Let's consider a level 3 approach, where Peter would explain ultimately where Laura is heading and how her experience maps within that picture. He might say something like, Laura is a natural UX designer with a clear passion for the work. She speaks of one day growing a UX practice for the firm, and I know she'd do a great job of it. She's demonstrated real progress in her UX role over the last 9 months, proving that she can not only effectively manage juniors and develop strong client relationships, but also that she can respond to time criticality challenges in project work by innovating a new and reusable framework for design and test in UX. I could see how both that framework and her ability to coach juniors will form the foundation of a new fledgling UX practice, and I'm confident that with the right support she will be successful in growing that practice, and while she's at it, growing that element of our firm's client work. Okay, now we're convinced that Laura is not only a talented UXer, but also an asset to the firm. She has a vision, and she's only taking the initial steps of her career at the moment, but she's forging a clear path. Her prospects are exciting, and we should recognise her for her achievements as well as her potential. So across those 3 levels, you can really sense the difference in the impact that the respective information has on the listener. As just a level 1 set of facts, it's hard to evaluate the significance of the achievements for Laura and for the firm. As a level 2 chronological set of facts, you can sense Laura's development path, but it doesn't necessarily motivate you to really fight for her. But as a true story at level 3, with meaning and purpose, it's compelling. And when Peter takes that level 3 approach, you're much more likely to believe in Laura, to perceive her success to date, to support her promotion, and to be excited by her potential. So clearly telling your career story as a story is important during performance review sessions. But is that it, or are there other times where it's important too? Let's think about it. There are other times where people who don't work alongside you day to day are listening to your story. For example, if you are speaking at a public event and you have to introduce yourself. In that scenario, your audience are much better off hearing a bit of your story than just hearing some facts, because in that way, they're more likely to believe in you. But more important than that is what you believe about yourself. The more you're able to tell your own story, the more you'll believe in yourself. And as reasons go, that might just be the best one. So really there isn't a time ever where it's better to state the facts as opposed to telling your story. And that holds true even when you're casually talking to friends over dinner. Your story matters and you should tell it. Okay, let's consider how your experience might develop randomly in consulting, and why therefore conceiving of your story is so hard. Your experience might develop partly as a result of what clients are buying, and partly as a result of your own direction. You may have experience outside of consulting before you join, like for example with an internship or another first job or an alternative career. When you join consulting, you might then start in a role that isn't related at all to your previous experience. You might then move to another role that is similar to your first role. Then your consulting lead on that project might decide to pull you into a different project entirely that's completely different just because they want you on their team. In parallel, you could have picked up some extracurricular responsibility in something that's important to you and taken a course in something that you find interesting. Your next project role might bear no relation at all to either that course or your previous project roles. And all the while, during all of this, you'll be being told that you need to be an expert in something. So you get the sense that you'll be pulled in so many different directions all the time, and there won't be much predictability to it either. You'll just need to go with the flow and do the best job that you can at all times. But doesn't that basically mean that it's impossible to have a story? One that goes in a unified direction, like Laura, who was so focused intently in the UX space? Well, in answer to that, not every Prime Minister always worked in government, and not every High Court judge always worked in law. The real art is being able to pull together your story using your hindsight of all of your experiences. Your story will not follow a linear line of progression. It's much more dynamic than that. You'll update it with every new experience you have. Your latest project role will suddenly make your first ever project role all the more important when it comes to telling your story. Your extracurricular activity will tie together your course with another project role in your story. If Laura's next few roles aren't UX roles and are instead business analyst or BA roles, then that's absolutely okay. It might be a shame that she doesn't end up creating that UX practice, but she might find that BA work more personally enjoyable. And as a BA, because of her UX experience, she'll be a much more customer-focused analyst, which will make her much more valuable than lots of the other BAs in the firm who haven't had that UX experience. That's her unique skill set, her story. The BA work that she produces achieves much more positive outcomes for clients' customers because she's considering things about tools and processes that no other BAs consider. She's an asset to the team and to the firm in an entirely different way. So the bottom line is this. Your story is the most important thing that you can learn to tell when it comes to talking about your career. You should always talk in story format when you talk about your career. Your story will also continuously evolve, and you should always take every new opportunity that appeals to you and stay on top of how that will evolve your story so that you can continue to tell it. If you're not sure of your story yet, then don't worry, most people aren't. But being aware of the 3 levels that I outlined in this video should help you work on it. You never know, you might tell your story one day as Prime Minister, as if you were always destined to be one, and people will look at you and wonder how on earth you knew that that's what you wanted to be when you were born. If you feel like knowing all of this is going to help you work on your story, then let me know by clicking the like button. And if you'd like to see what I post next, then definitely subscribe to my channel. Social media links are below if you'd like updates via those. And if you have any questions or comments, then feel free to use the comment section here and I will do my best to answer absolutely everything. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great day and I wish you all the best with your exploring.